Nick Robinson, I have over 15 friends.
Look at them. I can count them. The
Are you
evidence
proud
is
of me?
here.
Those are not my friends. Those are digital AI opponents I'm facing.
Yeah. All of them have pretty excellent names too. I'm noticing. But did you put those in, or does it ship with Tough Egg?
It ships with Nipper.
The Nip ship.
I do actually have. That's great. I do actually have a friend named Nipper, which is weird, but I didn't make that happen. This is Space Dust Racers. It is a 16-player kart racing game, kind of. It does a lot of sort of interesting things. Right now it is going through Kickstarter. They are raising funds to finish it, and it will launch on PC, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4. And the big draw of it is that you can play with up to 16 people. So really it's more of a party game than a hardcore, Mario Kart-esque kart racing game. It's kind of floaty, kind of slow, sort of by necessity, I think, because the way you can play it with 16 players is by using your smartphone. So sort of like the Jackbox Party Pack. I don't know.
Yes, I love that. One of my favorite games of last year.
Yeah, me too. It's really fun, and I'm optimistic that they are making more games like it, like Space Dust Racers, although I should mention that I'm playing this on a PC by myself against 15 AI people, and I was using an Xbox 360 controller. But that worked just fine. I don't know how well a smartphone's going to work, and I think it'll probably be a while before we know that. But the game does some really interesting stuff. Rounds are usually very, very short. If you fall off the screen at any time, you die. You're just out for that round.
So
if somebody
Smash
goes,
Brothers rules, right?
Yeah, kind of, except like you're not being knocked off a stage. It's just if somebody goes very fast and you're going very slow, you're out of the race. So yeah, you pick up power-ups, you use those to dispatch enemies. I've yet to play a straight up and down race mode. What is more important is survival and competition. This is a last man standing mode. So every time you finish a round and are the last cart not dead, you get a point for that round. And there are a couple other ones where there's one where you just go for kills. Like it's basically like a deathmatch mode, and you get points every time you take out an enemy using your weapons or by just racing really well and getting them pushed off the screen. It's like a totally viable option.
It seems to me like a game like this would have to, if it's going to be played on like an iPhone or iOS device screen, it would have to have necessarily very minimal controls. Is it just steering and shooting? Is that it, or is there more? I
mean, there's brake and steer and shoot and jump. It's honestly not too simple. I don't know if you can drift, actually. If so, I haven't been able to accomplish that yet. But yeah, it is fairly simple. I should point out, you don't play it on, I mean, you use your iPhone as the controller, but you are sharing a single screen. This is not a split screen game, which is the craziest thing about it. It is a 16-player, not split screen game.
Yeah, racing game, too.
Right, so this is that deathmatch mode, and what's fun about this is after you get bumped out, you get this reticle, and you can use that to fire rockets at enemies. You won't get points for kills doing that, but you can use that to try and shut down the player in the lead.
Interesting. So it's like like in Bomberman, when after you die, you kind of go off to the side of the screen and you can launch those little bombs in. It's like that.
Yeah. It's kind of like that. Sure. Everything is, like I said before, very sort of slow and floaty. Like you go over jumps and you are just up there for a while. But that's kind of fun.
It looks like everyone's using the anti-grav vehicle segments from Mario Kart 8. You know what I mean? Like, it's like everyone has that at all times.
But I mean, it still feels pretty fun. I wasn't like particularly thrilled by it, just playing by myself against 15 AI people. Like it was interesting seeing like what you had to do to stay alive in these matches, because like there's just so much shit going on all at once.
Right.
The real draw of this game is going to be if you can ever be in a room with 15 other people who have smartphones and a proclivity for kart racers.
I mean, I think that's a situation I've been in before. This game didn't exist yet, you know?
Yeah, exactly. You were waiting in your heart of hearts for this game to be created.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I mentioned it yet. It is going through Kickstarter funding right now.
Gotcha.
And they're still pretty short of their goals, so it'll be interesting to see if they can actually make it or not.
Yeah. I mean, one thing that I'm noticing, though, because you're playing against all AI players, is at the start of a race here, as soon as the first corner hits, everyone makes it. I feel like if I was playing with 15 of my friends, about 8 players would just go the wrong way and hit a wall immediately at the beginning of the race.
Yeah, and I totally see that as being like one of the joys of the game. Like, I don't know, I like how short the matches are. There's no like rubber banding. If you fall behind, you're dead.
Yeah.
And I'm into that. It's very unforgiving. But I don't know. It's all very physics-based, very physical. There, I almost didn't make that jump.
Yeah.
And that always lends itself to like hilarious, accidents happening all the time.
For sure.
And I totally foresee that being a big factor in this game's enjoyability. Here, I made a very intense tete-a-tete, but I smoked him with that gat. This mode is called Leader, and this one's interesting because you get credit for every kill that happens if you are in first place.
Oh, wow.
So as long as you are in first place, when a player gets a kill, you get the credit for that kill.
So it kind of motivates like other players to focus on taking you out so that they're not just throwing points your way.
Right, exactly. You have to be so careful because getting other players out of the way is the optimal way to ensure that you are going to succeed, because like the best way to pick up speed in Space Dust Racers is to hit a straightaway and just go and not have to like steer around other players or their mines or whatever. But doing that in this mode is going to be detrimental because you're just going to help out the player in first.
Yeah, I just love how busy this looks. Like you can almost hear like people yelling in the background. That's what it feels like. Is one of those games where people are just screaming at the TV, which is kind of my high watermark for a good party game.
Yeah, and I think there's going to be a lot of that. If the smartphone stuff works well enough, I think there's going to be a lot of that. But I don't know. It's kind of, there isn't another kart racer like this where you just watch like 6 cars veer off into a lake and just like flop all over each other. You can also heavyweights another player, which is a term I like to use for kart jumping on top of another kart.
That's the main term they use in the competitive Space Dust scene to describe it.
Is heavyweighting. If you heavyweight a player in this game, you kill them.
Oh, okay. So there's like Mario.
Nine
rules.
just heavyweighted me, and I'm out.
Ugh.
But yeah, this is Space Dust Racers. I don't know if it's going to get funded or not. I don't know if the smartphone stuff is going to work or not. This even is like a very, very early version of like a prototype of the game. It's still very early on in its development. But I don't know, there's some really cool ideas in how it makes a 16-player kart racer viable.
I'm rooting for them. I want more iOS game or iPhone-controlled Xbox games.
Yeah, me too. And this one's so experimental. It's hard not to root for it.